right, everyone. Welcome to this tonight's coverage of the primaries in Ohio and Indiana. We're back with you for election coverage. Been the first time in a while, in a couple months, since we've had election coverage come in. Got a big audience so far. Really excited to see more come in here tonight for tonight's primary, which is going to be really interesting. Even though these states are not competitive in the federal elections, so far we don't expect Ohio to be competitive federally. Indiana doesn't have a federal election up this year. They have a House district, which could be competitive. We have us competitive. Even though this is the case, we are expecting some really interesting results tonight. The Ohio side has a lot of open and primary districts where we're expecting contentious races: the governor primary, the Senate primary, the Democratic governor primary, the Democratic primaries of these House district Republican primaries. And then in Indiana, we're covering the 1st and 9th district Republican primaries in those two districts. The 1st is the competitive district, of course, and then the 9th is a very safely Republican downstate seat. I'll go ahead and throw it to Joe here, though, to kind of explain what we're looking at tonight, the races, and the big one of tonight, which is definitely the Ohio Senate primary on the Republican side.
Joe, you're muted.
You know, you leave off of this for a little bit and suddenly you forget to remember to turn on your mic again, folks. It's just what happens. Really, I think, the big thing for me right now is there are really kind of basically 4 key races to watch in Ohio. Of course, we've known the big one is the Ohio Senate race we have basically 4 top-tier GOP candidates right now. We have J.D. Vance, Josh Mandel, Matt Dolan, and Mike Gibbons. Really, the momentum in the last couple of weeks is tilted towards Vance, who, of course, got that Trump endorsement about 2 weeks before primary day. And surprisingly, Matt Dolan, who's kind of been the normal Republican in this race, or some would argue the more moderate, some would say the more establishment Republican in this race, he has also seen a surge in the last week. And then there are a couple of House primaries to watch as well. Ohio's 11th, the Democratic nomination is seeing a rematch between now incumbent Shontel Brown and Nina Turner. Of course, our good friend Dylan, who usually joins us on our podcasts, will, of course, be very heavily focused on that one tonight, of course, as well as some other key ones, though, in Ohio as well for the Republican Party. We're looking at the 9th district. We have, of course, the race for Republicans there to go against Marcy Kaptur in what is now a very newly competitive 9th district in Ohio, in the Toledo-based seat, as well as the, I believe it is the 13th district. Yes, the 13th district to replace Anthony Gonzalez in that also now newly competitive suburban Cleveland, Akron-based House seat as well. There is a big primary in the 7th district as well, but we do have a Trump endorsement in that seat. That's where Max Miller is currently running. Bob Gibbs retired there. It is a safe Republican seat for sure. But we expect Miller to be the favorite there. While also, of course, what we have going on right now are 2 key Republican primaries in Indiana. First, in the 9th district, we have, of course, the primary to replace Trey Hollingsworth, who retired in that safe Republican district. But we also have an interesting race in what may be a competitive first district this year of Indiana. Currently, the favorite there, some would argue, is Jennifer Ruth Green, who's gotten a lot of the endorsements so far. And we actually do have some of the first results in. Ruth Green is actually currently right now in the lead for that race with around 49% of the vote, with about 16% in, according to DDHQ numbers. So that's really kind of the key things. But of course, the big one that everyone is watching tonight is that Ohio Senate primary. Who is going to come out on top in that key race? And I think, obviously, I do want to, of course, welcome back, though, Kraz Greinetz, who is now officially on vacation from completing his first year of law school. So we should give a round of applause for Kraz there, completing his first year of law school. Kraz,
let's wait till I get my grades back so I don't fail. Let's hold off on the applause.
This will be my suffering in about a few months.
But Kraz, welcome back to our election coverage live streams. And of course, what have kind of been your thoughts, even though you maybe haven't been focusing all of your attention on it, of course, what have kind of been your thoughts on this Ohio GOP Senate primary?
Well, it's been pretty wild. I think that Vance and Mandel for a lot of the campaign were kind of competing for the same lane. In a way, it reminds me of the 2020 Democratic primary, where you had like God knows, 10, 15 candidates all competing to be the next big progressive thing. And then they all split the vote 10 different ways, and Biden got through relatively easily. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing something similar here, where Vance and Mandel essentially are competing for a lot of the same voters. And then you see Dolan or even Gibbons do a lot better than expected. In particular, I want to see the numbers out of some of those suburban areas. So the Cleveland suburbs, the Dayton and Cincinnati and Columbus suburbs. If Dolan's doing well there, I think he's on track to have a good night. But if you're seeing Mandel and Vance win in those places, I don't really see a spot for Dolan to sneak through.
Kraz, I'm going to have to cut you off. We do have the first results in from the Ohio Senate primary. And ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed Matt Dolan-mentum. The first results have come in from Franklin County. Of course, that is where Columbus is. It's not necessarily the biggest GOP stronghold, of course, but there are still some suburbs there in the eastern and southern parts that do still vote Republican. Matt Dolan, with apparently around 15% of the vote estimated in, according to DDHQ numbers. We see Matt Dolan with 36% of the vote currently. J.D. Vance is in second with 23%. Josh Mandel with 16%, and Mike Gibbons with 13%. James Tinkin rounds them out with about 8% of the vote. In the first live results of Franklin County, we are off and we are running. I'll give a mention here to the Ohio governor's race as well. Mike DeWine is facing a primary challenge from Jim Renacci. DeWine is winning Franklin County currently 70-19 right now over Renacci. That's a solid result there. In one of the more populous counties in Ohio, one of the more populous counties in Ohio. Just to give a mention to the Ohio Democratic primaries, Nan Whaley, who's kind of the expected favorite for Democrats in the race for governor, has a big lead on John Cranley, the Cincinnati mayor. In Franklin County, she's up 77-23 with those estimated votes in. And Tim Ryan is, as expected, leading, but maybe not by as much as we expected here. But this is also Morgan Harper's home county, and she is still down 66-26 right now against Tim Ryan. So I think any worries, any thoughts about a surprise there, I think have been pretty clearly knocked down, of course, looking at that key race as well.
Mm-hmm. And you can follow all these results along live on our website, elections-daily.com. We're covering, we got even more results coming in.
Oh, do we?
More counties that have come in so far. Looks like we've got, let me scroll through this on the website here. Give me 1 second.
I should probably pull up the website.
All these are around the Columbus area. And so these are Pickaway County, Madison County, Greene County, and Clinton County. All of which are showing results right now. And the lead is still for Matt Dolan, 31% of the vote. J.D. Vance, 26%. Josh Mandel, 19%. Mike Gibbons, 14%. And James Timken at 8%.
I think someone can verify, but I think that these early results are mail-in ballots, which is why you're seeing chunks of 24 or 15% being dropped at a time. Mail-in ballots do lean more Democratic, so I think it would be possible that these are more ideologically liberal. That being said, though, these also reflect where the race was, a week or even 2 weeks ago. And Dolan obviously has surged a ton in the last week. So it's hard to read the tea leaves on this one. But, just looking at these, it does look like Dolan is basically has a lead where you would expect him to have a lead.
Well, look, the universe has a sense of humor. And a couple weeks ago, I didn't know who Matt Dolan was. It's only fitting that he would win this race. I still expect it to be Vance. Like you said, these ballots will lean more Democratic. There was a not huge push, but a sizable push, I would say, to have Democrats and independents take Republican primary ballots and vote for Dolan. I had seen more of that than I expected, so I would guess those are where those ballots are coming from.
But there's also
11th, because I can't find the live results on the website.
You got to scroll down into change race. So you go to change race, and then you go into there. I don't see anything in from the 11th yet. There's nothing in from Cuyahoga County or Akron yet. I
do want to give a nod right now to the 9th District GOP primary in Indiana. According to DDHQ, numbers with about 20% of the votes in, Aaron Houchin continues to have a relatively solid lead right now. She's at 37% to Mike Sodrell, the former congressman from this area, actually with 31%. And then Stu Barnes Israel has a 19% on that numbers right now. So it's certainly still an interesting race there. But it looks like right now, Houchin, is currently right now sitting at a stable but solid lead.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I would mention here about we're going in with these mail votes is that it's worth noting mail votes encompass all mail votes that come in. The fact that Dolan could be ahead in these mail votes could be indication of a late surge for him or strength there that was all along. We really don't know. I would be a little bit concerned if I were Vance and Mandel, particularly Vance, because with his late, he is the one benefiting in the polls the most from this late push, going from about 4th or 5th place, maybe even 3rd place to 1st. And most of these recent polls, you would expect mail voting, even if it's a little bit skewed ideologically, for him to be doing a little bit better.
Well,
for him to be in 2nd, that's not bad, but I think you'd much rather be. Oh, here we go. We got even more counties coming in. Wow.
Well, if he surged later, which he did, it would only make sense that the mail-in ballots, which come in earlier, wouldn't reflect that, though. No.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that'd be the weird thing. Is why would Dolan be leading in mail votes that have been cast the whole time? That's the strange thing. Is what I'm getting at.
True, but the results that just came in seem to.
Yeah.
The race tightened up a lot.
But it's interesting is if you look at where these are coming, a lot of Mandel counties have started to come in. Morrow County, Ashland County, and Carroll County. All of these counties have put some of their votes in, and Mandel is leading in those counties. And now it's closer. It's 27% Dolan, 26% Vance, 22% Mandel. Mike Gibbons is in 4th place here, 14%. So really, it does look like a 3-person race here between Dolan, Vance, and Mandel. We have nothing from Hamilton County yet. Nothing from Cuyahoga County, nothing from Montgomery County. These are 3 big urban counties that Republicans could get a lot of votes from. And then from the suburbs surrounding them. Like I believe J.D. Vance, it said that the areas he would possibly be doing best in are Appalachia, where he's from, and then maybe somewhere like Hamilton County. Right now, though, there's an east-west divide. The 3 counties that Mandel leads in, all of them are in the eastern portion of the state, including Carroll County, which is in that Appalachia corridor. It's right near Mahoning County and a Columbiana County, Stark County. So I would keep an eye on this. I think there's been a lot of assumptions about where candidate strength is, but we're actually starting to see the reality of where some of these places might be.
I should jump in. J.D. Vance is actually not from the Appalachian region of Ohio.
Oh, right.
I had to read his book in college. He's actually from Cincinnati, but his family.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
His family is from the Appalachian part of Kentucky, so Kentucky coal.
Gotcha. Yeah,
but
so that would be why
the Cincinnati exurbs. So actually, that will be kind of interesting.
That would be why Cincinnati said is a strong point. Then that would be why.
Yeah.
By the way,
I want to point out here. I want to give a quick shout out to the Indiana governor's race. The Ohio governor's GOP primary, of course. We were maybe expecting from polling a little bit of a tighter result from Mike DeWine than we saw, but currently that's not necessarily materializing. DeWine has led basically in every county from city to rural that has come in so far. He is winning. He has about 62% of the vote right now. And, it's definitely very fascinating to see right now that DeWine, for the most part, is pretty solidly holding on right now to most of the numbers that we're seeing right now. It looks like he might be in a way from cruising towards potentially a closer reelection. And I'm also being told that we do have more Senate counties now. Has this changed the leader?
Yes,
Vance is has.
Vance is now in the lead with 26.5% of the vote. Nolan at 25, Mandel at 22.
Yeah, so 27, 25, 22. Can it just be said that Rob Portman really whiffed his endorsement?
Yeah.
Real bad. Real bad.
I find it very interesting currently that we see Matt Dolan, currently he's winning Hancock County currently. That's a more rural county, kind of up there in the northwestern part of the state. This is showing that Dolan's interest and availability is maybe not just stuck to suburbs or city voters. There has been a legitimate increase in his results from counties that are part of the Republican base, and I think that's been one of the more interesting parts here of what I'm seeing so far come in from the Ohio Senate Republican primary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mandel is continuing to lead. The two counties that are coming from Appalachia so far, Carroll and Meigs County, both of these are counties that Mandel leads in. So far, 12% in, 20% in from those. Looks like Vance is doing pretty good in suburban counties in general. Pickaway, Madison, Union, around Columbus, and then Warren around Cincinnati, where he has a pretty sizable 30% of the vote. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this, obviously.
Warren's his home county, so I would expect him to do well there. That
would make sense then. Let's keep going here. But as Joe mentioned, DeWine is ahead with 60% of the vote right now. Renacci is not even close. For those who have paid attention to Renacci's 2018 campaign, this should not be a surprise. The dude is not a good campaigner.
But I heard he was at 56%.
See, the problem with him is he gets a lot of money. He raises money himself, but he doesn't really seem to campaign at all, which means he loses elections. Pro tip for potential candidates who want to win statewide races: you need a campaign. That's just my advice to you. You can choose not to follow that advice, but I can't make any judgments about your political future if you just decide, well, I'm Jim Renacci, I've got a lot of money, everyone's going to vote for me. That's really not how it works.
I think that was the Michael Bloomberg strategy too.
Well, he did win American Samoa, to be fair.
Him and Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, don't doubt the strategy.
Tim Ryan only being at 68% is kind of surprising. I would have expected.
Well, Morgan Harper's not a bad campaigner. She didn't do terribly against Joyce Beatty. She was very heavily outspent, very heavily out-endorsed, and she still got, I think 35% of the vote. I mean, it's not a great margin, but it's respectable. Mm-hmm. And she's been fairly visible, so I'm not all that surprised. Obviously not great if you're Tim Ryan, but I'm not shocked by that. Still nothing from the 11th.
We're still we have some more counties that have come in now for the for the statewide races. Vance has grown his lead now to about 2% over Matt Dolan. But again, we see Dolan making some moves in around Toledo and Lucas County, and that's been a right trending county. Interesting to see. I think when those results come in there in that race, that'll be kind of interesting to see how Dolan's doing right now. Again, mostly early vote, but we have right now J.D. Vance in the lead of 26% of the vote so far. This has been about what we expected. This is being a tight race between the top three. We still have no results, though, out of District 9 yet so far.
It's interesting that Wood County is going for Dolan so far. He's got two of these counties up here around the Toledo area, and then the third going for Mandel. Yeah. We don't have anything from Toledo itself at Lucas County.
Mandel's winning Fulton, Ashland. He doesn't seem to really have any base of support. It's just kind of scattered. And then Mike Gibbons in there with the weirdest county name. Is that his home county? Because that would make sense. It's the only one he's winning. So
who's this you're talking about?
Gibbons.
Oh, let's see.
He's winning Wyandotte.
He's winning Wyandotte. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, we got a ton more counties into the governor's side.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got a bunch more in on the Senate side too.
I don't see them showing up on the website yet.
They just popped up on the website for me. Vance up 27, 23, 22.
Oh, yeah, I see with these counties coming in. Mahoning County, Trumbull County, and Ashtabula County.
Yeah.
Mandel catching up a bit to Dolan, almost overtaking Dolan so far.
Well, Dolan's doing bad in the blue-collar counties in Northeast Ohio.
It would be honestly really funny if after all the Dolan momentum, he came behind Mandel. Look, somebody terrible is probably going to win this primary from my perspective, irregardless. So I'm just going to enjoy the chaos.
Yeah, those are some big margins out of those northeastern counties there for we do have Mike Gibbons also, though, surprisingly pretty high. He's in third or second place.
Yeah, the weird thing, it's not necessarily the percentage of the vote Vance is getting there that's impressive. It's 30% and 28%. It's the spread. Mandel's only at 20% and Trumbull. Dolan's only at 17%. And then in Mahoning, it's 28 with Gibbons in second. And then Mandel and Dolan both around 16% of the vote.
Mm-hmm. So I know we're probably going to get results soon, but just a quick overview for Ohio 11th, unless you guys have something else you want to
go right ahead.
Discuss. So like Joe mentioned at the start, this is a rematch between Nina Turner and Chantel Brown. This race was really close in 20. Oh God, that was this year too. What is time? So it was really close. Nina Turner got a bunch of local endorsements. So did Brown, but not as many national endorsements. This time, most of the endorsements, including from Sherrod Brown and from President Biden, have gone to Chantel Brown. It's one of two races Joe Biden has endorsed in. I fully expect Chantel Brown to win, but this is a newer, because of the new map, this district now encompasses more Nina Turner friendly counties. So I don't expect her to win, but I very much don't expect it to be a blowout.
I want to give a mention now here. We do have some results now coming in from Fulton County in that Republican 9th District primary in that now new key competitive race. Teresa Gavarone leads in that first drop with about 45% of the vote. Craig Riedel is coming in second with J.R. Majewski coming in third right now. Those are the top three candidates by far. But that is wanting to point that out right now, something to mention. We have started to see results now coming out of that key 9th District GOP primary in Ohio for what seems to likely be a competitive race against Marcy Kaptur in that Toledo-based seat.
It's also worth mentioning in that Ohio 11th primary, the money has been heavily tilted towards Chantel Brown this time around. Nina Turner had a pretty sizable spending or fundraising advantage in the first race. She didn't spend much of it on TV, but this time the outside spending has really come in for Chantel Brown. She's gotten boosted by, oh God, correct me if I'm wrong. I think she got boosted by AIPAC or Democratic Majority for Israel, one of the two PACs. She got boosted by a couple crypto super PACs. So, I just thought it would be worth mentioning that.
Yeah. We have I saw a question about asking about results so far in the 7th congressional district GOP primary. We have gotten no numbers there out of that yet. So, nothing out of that one yet, or out of the 13th district GOP primary race either. So far, it's pretty much how it is. It is what it is in no uncertain terms. But I do want to point out, we do also have right now, we have Matt Dolan currently winning Lorain County around Cuyahoga County. Don't forget that Cuyahoga is close to Dolan. He's connected to it. He's part of the family that owns the now Cleveland Guardians baseball team. And an attack I am surprised actually wasn't used more of by his opponents due to the lack of spending by the Dolans that many fans consider on the Guardians. So I'm actually surprised that wasn't used as an attack more against Dolan. But certainly it is something to mention that he is part of that family that owns the Cleveland Guardians baseball team in the city of Cleveland. And that's part of where his wealth comes from.
Mm-hmm. We got more results come in. Yep. Mandel is now in second. This is, I believe, with early vote. So 26.6% for Vance, 21.9% for Mandel, 21.8% for Dolan, 15.7% for Gibbons, and 10.3% for Timken. These starting coming kind of gives me an indication these may be earlier. That some of these, we'll need to watch what's going on later. The fact that Mandel and Timken are having such big increases and they've dropped off in polling, that would maybe lead me to suggest that the theory about the Dolan and Vance surge is correct. I would not expect Timken to finish with over 10% in this race.
No.
That would really surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this early vote coming in is giving her that amount, like 21% in Jefferson, 60% Carroll.
We got 21% for in Washington County as well.
Yeah.
Question, probably nobody probably knows right now. Do we know what the percentage?
8%.
No, not percentage in, like the split between mail-in voting and in person.
I do not believe so.
I think we think this is all mail-ins.
No, I meant in general. I wasn't.
Because
sometimes that comes out ahead of time. Sometimes it
gotcha.
doesn't.
We don't know exactly, but Decision Desk, who is obviously always correct about these things, as we know, is telling us that for most of these counties, you're looking at about 15 to 16% of the vote. There are a couple rural counties that go higher. I assume that's just because they don't have very many voters. But I think we're probably looking at about 20% of the vote being mail-ins.
Mm-hmm.
I also do want to give a mention now. Decision Desk HQ has unsurprisingly called the Ohio Democratic primary for Senate for Tim Ryan. Just really about that across our feeds. Tim Ryan, in no surprise, will be the Democratic nominee for Senate in Ohio, being probably one of the better recruits, you could argue, for Democrats in the Senate races this year, but also arguably in a bad state. But Tim Ryan, and what could be his last political ride, is officially confirmed as the Democratic nominee, as is called by Decision Desk HQ.
Yeah, good candidate in a bad state in a bad year. But I'm really surprised. I thought Morgan Harper was going to win.
It's also worth noting that the Tim Ryan of today is not the Tim Ryan of 10 years ago. The Tim Ryan of 10 years ago was a pro-life Democrat, among other things, more culturally conservative, and then shifted more in line with national Democrats on some of these issues to run for president. Now that he's running for Senate, obviously these are liabilities in Ohio now instead of assets, but he still has some of that working class appeal that could potentially be useful in a race against an atrociously bad Republican nominee, someone like a Murdoch in Indiana level nominee. But obviously, even though none of these candidates are ideal for Republicans, none of them are really disasters. Mandel is one statewide.
But the Mandel who won statewide is not the Mandel today.
Right.
I want to give a shout out right now to that Indiana 09 GOP primary right now. Aaron Houchin has started to pull away from the pack. State senator endorsed by Elise Stefanik. She currently, with DDHQ, is estimating about 45% of the vote in. She is leading around 38 to 28 over her closest contestant, Mike Sodrell. Stu Barnes Israel is currently in third with 18.4% of the vote. Everyone else is doing absolutely nothing in no uncertain terms. So those are really the top three now. But we've started to see Houchin start to pull away with about 45% in that race. Houchin starting to pull away to be the GOP nominee and basically the very likely candidate for that race. She is, of course, in this what is a safe Republican seat as we have currently rated right now.
Oh, wow. We just had a massive Ohio drop. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This changes things. So 21% of the vote in. J.D. Vance, 20.5%. Matt Dolan, 18.3%. Josh Mandel, 18%. Mike Gibbons, 14.6%. Jane Timken, 12.7%. So Vance has about a 2-point lead, but with less than 21% of the vote. This is wild. This is shockingly.
This is tight.
Wow.
This is very tight. So
good God, look at Cleveland. Matt Dolan is 31% of the vote in Cleveland, or 39% of the vote. Sorry. Josh Mandel 18%, J.D. Vance 18%, Mike Gibbons, but Matt Dolan at 39% in Cleveland. That is pretty big. That is a good.
I
sign
also
for
want
Dolan.
to give mention right now. This is very interesting because currently, the two no-name candidates in Mark Pukita and Neil Patel, who are very much the minor candidates right now. Pukita is pulling in 8%, and Patel is pulling in 7.7% of the vote right now.
Yeah, that's why I think these. I'm not sure these percentages are
Accurate,
fully
Yeah,
updated. I think. I mean, Dolan did pull very close.
Yeah, these numbers may be a little bit off, but if they're off, they certainly don't appear to be off in Cuyahoga County.
No, they're not off by that much. I think Dolan pulled a lot closer with Cuyahoga because he's getting close to 40% of the vote, and obviously, I mean, if he surged near election day, right, and these are mail-in ballots, he's going to be clocking in close to maybe half the vote on election day in places like Cuyahoga. And
no, it's the minor party candidates. I can say for certain that Mark Pukita and Neil Patel are not getting 7 and 8% of the vote. But on the other hand,
I feel pretty good that Jane Timken isn't at 12%.
But if that's the case and those numbers are incorrect, the Cuyahoga numbers are still pretty accurate because they only have Timken at 6%. If some of these numbers get reverted, then you could see Dolan in the lead here.
Well, I think you have to feel pretty comfortable if you're Dolan, right? I mean, let's just say that these numbers are broadly accurate, but a little off, right? You know, if he's down a couple points to Vance right now, you know, and these are all mail-in ballots, if he really is going to do better in election day votes, then he has to feel fairly comfortable.
Yeah,
Sorry, Joe.
I see the problem right now, folks. Lawrence County is producing incorrect numbers right now. If you go to it on the map, Lawrence County, which it explains a lot of this right now. For whatever reason, it's showing 82,000 votes. I'm guessing these are test numbers that actually got released. That's why we're seeing this right now. That's why we saw that surge for Pukita. But if we go, I'm going to move over to New York Times, who seem to have slightly more accurate results. Dolan has surged back into second place of 23% of the vote. Vance still leads with 26% of the vote. And Mandel with 22% of the vote. But right, we have seen some tightening. We do have Dolan back up into second place. So hopefully we have those results fixed once those Lawrence County numbers are fixed. Yeah. I'm guessing that's probably an error.
Right now, Lawrence County is casting half of the votes in the state of Ohio right now.
Yeah,
which is not really that likely. Lawrence County. Let me see what the population is, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't even have 82,000.
Like 52,000, I think. It's not very big.
So this is where you start bussing in people and whatnot. You'd have to get stuff like this.
Voter fraud for JD Vance.
The voter fraud for Neil Patel and Mark Pukita. Yeah, we're gonna.
Same thing happened in the governor race. Jim Renacci got an extra 12,000 votes, and candidates I haven't heard of are beating DeWine.
Yeah, Ron Hood. We all know Ron Hood. Great guy running a terrific campaign.
You know what? I didn't know who Matt Dolan. You know what? I didn't know who Matt Dolan was, and he might win. So who am I to say Jim Hood won't win?
Ron Hood. Hood is
him too.
Yeah.
Jim Hood. He was the Mississippi Attorney General at one point, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Ron. Apparently, he's a former House of Representatives member.
Though honestly,
okay, yeah. So I'm gonna guess Ron Hood is not doing this bill. For those who are not aware, I was not aware of this. He wanted to propose a bill that would require doctors to reimplant ectopic pregnancies.
Oh goodness!
Oh, well, that's an idea. Dear. That's really dumb. Wow.
That's not even medically possible. For those unfamiliar with medicine.
I too would like the impossible done. There are many impossible things I want done. So they're usually better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to guess that the Ron Hood momentum is not going to last once the Lawrence County totals are corrected.
But it does look like the same thing that might be happening in the Senate race is happening in the governor race, with the crazies splitting the vote and letting them letting the less crazy person win.
Yeah.
Even then, DeWine is still. I think with regular numbers, if I go to the New York Times, he's still pulling at around 57% of the vote right now.
He's leading every county.
Yeah, so it's
You're right.
it's a little bit less certain with the DeWine vote.
Ooh, more votes, more votes in. Dolan is leading in Lake County, pretty big. That's a pretty important county. Leading in Summit County. He's leading in Wayne County. He's basically pulling up right now. Matt Dolan is leading in every county in the Cleveland area that is reporting so far, as well as in Wayne County, which is nearby, and in Akron. That's a pretty important thing. If these results, he's leading in Columbus, he's leading around. He's leading in Greene County and Miami County, which are connected to Dayton, Ohio. Josh Mandel's leading in Clark County, which is Springfield, which, contrary to popular belief, Springfield is not part of the Dayton metro area. I have to reiterate to this. In our internal discussions over fair maps, I've had to repeatedly emphasize that the Dayton metro is Miami, Montgomery, and Greene. This is yet another example of that. I will just put that out there for those who are interested in county demography, basically. But yeah, the Cleveland area is looking like a Dolan stronghold, and in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense. He's from Cleveland Guardians. A lot of moderate business Republicans up there, and also a lot of just Republicans in general up in the area. Keep in mind, these counties had actually voted for Republicans down ballot, even if they voted for Democrats up ballot. Infamously, in 2014, in 2014, why is his name slipping my head? The former governor, John Kasich, won Cuyahoga County. He won all of the counties in Ohio, except for, I believe, Athens County. I believe that's the only county that he did not win in Ohio. I'm not saying that will happen this time, but I'm saying there are Republican voters up there who vote in primaries. Right now, according to the New York Times, we're still waiting for the decision desk numbers to be accurately reporting, is J.D. Vance at 25.7%, Dolan at 23.2%, Mandel at 20%. Oh, just more results came in. Dolan is leading in Portage County as well. That's another county in the Cleveland-Akron area. The only county that's not reporting any results from that area yet is Lorain County. So I'm actually going to go ahead and see if we can...
Medina, Eric.
Medina. What the names. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to share my screen here so you guys can see. Hopefully the decision desk numbers are correct now. If not, I'll have to show New York Times just so you can see what's going on here.
They are correct.
Yeah, New York Times. Okay, so these are correct. Now, decision desk is not reporting some of these counties around Ohio or around Cleveland yet. So I'll just tell you what they're showing. The Lawrence County totals have been fixed. The Ron Hood momentum is over now.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, first of all, it's hard to have a good color scheme in races like this. For those of you who are colorblind, apologies for this. These are all varying shades of red and orange. Not really a lot you can do here. But as you can see right here, this is the Dolan territory right now. Dolan is leading in all these counties right here, except for Medina, which does not have any results coming in yet. He's also leading at Wood, Hancock County. He's now leading at Montgomery County, leading in Franklin, leading in Miami, leading in Greene. J.D. Vance is kind of sweeping the southern tier around Cincinnati, stretching into Appalachia. He's also winning right now Washington County and some of the other counties in the Rust Belt, Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoning, Columbania counties. These are basically counties that saw massive swings to then President Trump, or to Trump in 2016 and then to then President Trump in 2020. And then around the Columbus area.
Looks like we have the first results in from the Ohio 11th.
Oh, right.
Give us the noise. Give us the news, Dylan.
Chantal Brown up 70-30, 8,000 votes to 3,400, 3,500.
Wow.
That still was 0% reporting. But
yeah, the question be where these are coming from. So if we go to the Elections Daily website here, I'll go ahead and repost the link for you guys since the results are showing up correctly now.
They're not showing up on the decision on the Elections Daily website. I found a tweet with the results.
But basically, just to show you what it looks like, you can go into this tool right here. These statewide races have all the election results. If you want to look at a specific congressional race, we have the House results for both sides here. Click right here to change what district you're looking at the primary in. So you can do that. And then you can also change what county you're looking at within that district. So if you wanted to go to, for example, the 11th district, even if there's no results in right now, I can still show you how you do this. It will show you that right here. And then once the results start to come in, you'll be able to actually change the county votes, presumably. Like, for example, right up here, you could choose between Hamilton and Warren. So that's basically, in theory, how you should be able to operate this thing. But yeah, the big thing right now is Cleveland is doing really, really well for Matt Dolan. He's going to need to do really well in Cleveland as more results come in. Mandel is doing weird in a lot of random areas, a lot of Appalachia, a lot of Western Ohio, a lot of areas north of Columbus. And then Vance is doing really well in a lot of more suburban areas, some other counties. Oddly enough, early polls indicated that Vance was the favored candidate of Never Trumpers. Funnily enough, that could be a little game here.
It would be really funny if the early vote showed that Vance won the Never Trumpers, even with the Trump endorsement.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny.
So I didn't even know Jim Hood was running. What a
I didn't even know who Jim Hood was.
Ron Hood. Ron Hood.
Yeah, Ron Hood.
What a crazy human being.
Wow. I do want to give a quick shout out right now here, folks, is that Craig Riedel has taken the lead in the District 9 GOP primary, but that's mostly because the results have come in from Defiance County, which is part of where he represents in the Ohio State House. Those numbers came in from pretty big. It might be the only county, I believe, that he actually represents. If I look at what I don't, let me check here, but yeah, it's the only one
we have
that
results.
he represents that's in the district. Paulding and Van Wert counties are not in there, as well as Glaze. I don't believe that one's in there either. But Defiance, which is Craig Riedel's home county, seemingly coming in big for him there, but I don't believe that is going to be enough right now for him.
More results on the Senate side.
Yeah, we've had the Cleveland area votes come in there.
Yeah, so 26.
Well, there's some
24.
additional ones, yeah.
25.5, 23.5, 22.3.
Another thing I want to point out is in that governor primary, DeWine is still ahead with about 57% of the vote. Next closest is Jim Renassi at 25%. Worth noting that Renassi has come out recently and said that Trump did not endorse him because there was another candidate in the race drawing votes. That seems to be a wise decision because Joe Blystone is winning 15% of the vote. That
excuse seems dubious.
Jim Renassi thought so.
That excuse seems really dubious. I mean, has Trump looked at the Senate primary?
So I do want to make a comment here. Decision Desk HQ is not called of the Ohio governor's races yet, but other outlets we have seen are starting to call that primary for Mike DeWine.
I know
EDHQ was not called it yet, but we are starting to see other outlets projected for DeWine, who does seem to be outperforming his late polling metrics by about 6 to 7%. He was in the high 40s in most of the late polls. He is currently polling around the mid to mid high 50s right now, around 57% of the vote. DDHQ was not called this race yet, but we are starting to see from other resources that Mike DeWine will win renomination for the Ohio gubernatorial race, and that puts the Ohio gubernatorial race very likely back into Republican hands for another term in Ohio in the increasingly red state.
Yeah, we have this at Safe Republican, and like I said earlier, I would not be surprised if this is a reprise of the Indiana 2018 race, the only difference being in that one there was a Libertarian candidate who took a chunk of the vote. But I would not be surprised if DeWine was able to win, say, 55, even upwards of 60% of the vote in Ohio. Actually, that'd probably be favored. I would be shocked if he didn't win 60%. His Democratic opponents are not well known, not well funded. DeWine is basically tailor made for suburban and urban Republicans. He's the same image as Eric Holcomb, conservative, normie conservative, COVID hawkish early on governor who was able to hold on against the primary challenge. It'll be interesting to see what the margins are here. In particular, like I said earlier, I would not be shocked if Hamilton County was relatively competitive. Hamilton County is trended Democratic as of late, but it did vote for Rob Portman in 2016. And even though it's gone Democratic, it still has a lot of suburban voters. For comparison here, Eric Holcomb did very well in Marion County. Granted, he didn't win Marion County, but that's Indianapolis. That's the big Democratic county in Indiana. Hamilton is not nearly as blue as Hamilton County or as Marion County is in Indiana. So I would not be surprised if it was at least in the realm of close, maybe 10 percentage points would be pretty reasonable, I think, for Hamilton County.
Interesting. Medina County has come in. J.D. Vance has broken through that Cleveland wall that was being built. He leads by about 2% there with the early vote in over Matt Dolan in Medina County.
Very interesting. And obviously, we're still waiting for Hamilton County. Hamilton County is expected to be a J.D. Vance stronghold to some degree, whatever that means. J.D. Vance is doing really well in a lot of rural areas, doing pretty well in a lot of these places, and doing well in the suburbs around Columbus and around Cincinnati. But he's only breaking around 31% of the vote in some of these counties. Like in Warren, his home county, he's only at 30% of the vote. That's better than he's doing, statewide. But there's not a big J.D. Vance stronghold right now. His support is distributed pretty evenly throughout the state, whereas, Dolan's is coming heavily from the Dayton area. It's coming from Columbus and Franklin County. It's coming from the Cleveland area, where he's not doing as well as, say, in Noble County, which is one of the counties in Appalachia that Josh Mandel is winning. Dolan is only at 14% there. He's not doing nearly as well in Fulton County. He's only at 14% in that county.
I'm very interested to see how he does in parts of Erie and Sandusky County, which is kind of where we start to see Toledo metro area and in the Cleveland metro area begin. I'm kind of interested to see how Dolan does in those two counties as well. That could have some signs there potentially. I'm very fascinated to see how those come in. We're certainly in for a close one here tonight, folks, so continue to tune in. We are certainly in a close race here for this very crucial primary for the Republican nominee for Senate in Ohio. J.D. Vance currently in the lead with about 25.6% of the vote. Matt Dolan, the surging late businessman candidate, currently with about 24% of the vote. Josh Mandel, the former treasurer, in with around 22.4% of the vote. There is a difference of about only 4,000 votes right now between Vance in first and Mandel in third, and we do not have, it seems like, any election day vote yet. This is a race that could change very rapidly, potentially, depending on election day vote. Stay tuned. We certainly have a lot left to say still. And with that, we do have a projection that has come across my desk here from DDHQ. DDHQ and Elections Daily are now projecting that Mike DeWine, the current governor of Ohio, has won his renomination against Jim Renacci and Ron Blystone in the race there for governor. Joe Blystone is going to be in the race there for governor. DeWine currently leads in every county currently with the early vote and holds around 57% of the vote. Mike DeWine officially called to be renominated as the Republican nominee for governor in the state of Ohio. Are we surprised by the margin that DeWine's currently leading right now compared to late polling, or kind of what's the reaction from the panel tonight?
I'm not surprised by this at all. This is in the realm of what I was expecting.
No, not surprised at all. Renacci was hardly running a campaign.
Yeah, so I mentioned this in a tweet earlier on, but this all but basically means the end of Jim Renacci's political career. Obviously,
he had one.
I mean, he was a U.S. congressman. He was reelected multiple times. He did have one. He came closer than many expected in 2018 against Sherrod Brown, where he again kind of just gave up and did not campaign. He did come closer in that race than many expected when the final results came in. But this was kind of a heave and a hope at that. The fact that Donald Trump basically didn't come through for him, which hasn't necessarily been shown to work so far in gubernatorial races, primaries so far this year. Obviously, endorsements in Idaho and Georgia so far. But importantly, though, really Mike DeWine pretty easily takes away Renacci and Blystone here relatively easily here. Jim Renacci and Joe Blystone put away pretty easily. Mike DeWine wins renomination as projected by DDHQ and Elections Daily.
Mm-hmm.
Did they also call the Democratic governor primary?
No, I have not seen that yet from Nan Whaley.
Yeah.
Though we should mention that
That's
Whaley is up 68 to 30, 2%. I would bet that they are waiting for results from Hamilton, where John Crayley is the mayor of Cincinnati. So I bet they're going to wait for those, probably see that happen, and then make the call, I would bet. That's what I'm betting right now.
Cranley is only leading in Lucas County and a handful of Cincinnati's eastern suburbs. He's not even leading in Butler and Warren. This thing's pretty much over.
Yeah, and the Ohio 11th primary, same results, but it's about 15% of the vote. There hasn't been a call yet, but I don't see a world where Nina Turner pulls that out. She's down nearly 40 points. She's down about 30 points, 40 points.
I do want to bring a mention now here. The 7th district, this new safe Republican district that Bob Gibbs is letting Max Miller placement. Max Miller, the Trump endorsed candidate, who was originally trying to primary Anthony Gonzalez, redistricting changed that. Miller leading with 71.5% of the vote over his next highest candidate. Next closest challenger in that race with about with the early vote in, that's about 15 to 16% of the vote. 6% of the vote. According to DDHQ, but Max Miller with a pretty early lead right now in that race. So it looks like Max Miller seems to be pretty clearly heading towards a congressional seat. In that regards, Trump might call that a victory. Considering the change in seats, I don't know how much that is. Considering what the original plan was for the endorsement of Miller. But that is certainly a primary update there as we continue to move on to the night here. We are still waiting, of course, from big numbers in from Hamilton and Cincinnati, Hamilton County and Cincinnati. That is where we are really waiting for hopefully some numbers to drop soon because that'll tell us a whole lot about how the rest of this night is going to go.
Yeah, we also need to see election year results. I think there may be some election year results filtering in from some more rural counties. It looks like some of them are getting up in terms of percent estimated in. But, we haven't seen any from any of the bigger counties so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Certainly, we're just still kind of right now currently waiting for results right now. In Ohio, I do want to now go down and give some mention to that Indiana 09 primary. According to DDHQ, got about 57% of the vote in right there. Aaron Houchin leads by about 9 points, 37 to 28 over Mike Sedrell of that race with about 57% in. According to that race right there. So just wanted to give people some heads up there on that GOP primary and that safe Republican seat. Aaron Houchin currently up on Mike Sedrell, 37 to 28 currently in that key GOP primary. Certainly one that we've been watching all night. We have no more recent updates, it should be said, from the first. Jennifer Ruth Green still leaves about 49% of the vote in. We are still waiting for numbers to come in there. Those ones always come in a bit later because of the poll closing times in some parts of those Western Indiana counties. So we are still waiting on the fact of some of those races. And we also are still waiting for District 13 GOP primary in Ohio. We've seen no numbers from that key primary yet either. But we are slowly but surely starting to get in our way here. We're starting to see some races called that are contested as we get into the day here. We're starting to see a bit more of these races called here as we get into it. Just to give an update right now, Mike DeWine has won renomination as the GOP nominee for Ohio for the governor's race, and Tim Ryan has won as expected, the Democratic primary for Senate in Ohio as well. And I also want to give another mention right now here. We are starting to have other sources, the big one being Dave Wasserman, who are now starting to project that 9th District GOP primary. Dave Wasserman is projecting it for State Senator Aaron Houchin over the Freedom Caucus-backed former Representative Mike Sedrell. So DDHQ has not projected that yet, but however, Dave Wasserman and other sources are starting to project that Aaron Houchin will be the GOP nominee in that safe Republican House seat in the 9th district, adding on to a growing number of the Republican caucus of female Republican candidates endorsed by Elise Stefanik winning these primaries. Houchin was backed pretty heavily by Stefanik and her PAC in this race, so that is a victory for her over the Freedom Caucus goers in this race.
I do have a question for you, Joe, for us uninformed people. What are the new competitive districts in Ohio? Because I haven't really been following it. So just looking at the map, I'm looking at presumably the 7th, maybe is 7th.
No, actually, the 7th is actually relatively pretty stable. I'm going to bring up 538 here, just for better reference here. But the 7th is actually relatively pretty stably Republican district. It's not. I shouldn't say. Maybe I shouldn't say it's safe Republican. DDHQ, but DDHQ has it about a part there, which their seat is about an R+14. I don't have DRA prop right now because that'll probably screw with my internet connection. So I do not want to do that. But let me share my screen here.
Yeah, the 1st, the 9th, and the 10th would probably be. The 10th has a really strong Republican in Mike Turner. The 15th is really, really bizarrely shaped.
Yeah. But really the key ones we're going to be watching is the 13th, the 1st, and the 9th, which is held by Marcy Kaptur, of course.
So, well, I'm assuming Biden won 11, 13, 3, and 1.
Yes, that's correct. 13 was relatively narrow. It should be said 13 was only about a Biden plus 2 seat.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
and it's
really
trending right.
Yeah, and it's because
do Democrats have a fighting chance in 15?
No, maybe
no.
But I think for at
Not
least for
year.
2022, not this year. Potentially in the future, but don't forget this map is also only drawn for 2 years. So in the redistricting in 2024, we could see something different here. But for this year, the real key races are the 1st with Steve Shabbat, and then 13 and 9. 13 is that Akron, Summit, changing area there of some parts of the Cleveland suburbs into it there, which is an interesting seat. And then as well, the 9th, of course, it feels like it's starting to feel like a seat that it's going to be hard for Marcy Kaptur to keep, but it is about a Trump +2, +3 seat. Certainly still something one to watch here, but it is a Trump seat. A lot of people think that one's going to be hard to watch here, hard to keep there, even for Kaptur, who has a long history in that district and has a long history of kind of connecting with the white working class. But, in wave years like this is a year we see stuff like that end. But really, it's that those are kind of the interesting races in Ohio. The 1st, the 9th, and the 13th. Those are really kind of the key House races to watch when come general election time in the state of Ohio.
And it's worth noting, again, the 10th does take a more favorable Democratic draw. It's probably about a Trump +7 or 8 seat. It does take in Springfield. But Mike Turner is an exceptionally strong incumbent, very moderate. It'd be very difficult to see him being competitive even in a Democratic year. Democrats didn't seriously target him, I don't think, in 2018. There is some more results from the 11th District Democratic primary. Chantel Brown continues to lead with 70% of the vote. Nina Turner at 29.9% of the vote. Not the comeback Nina Turner is looking for here.
No, not a good showing.
Yeah.
I mean, she was outspent significantly. This is not a surprise.
Yeah.
She's
basically running for her pride here from that because the Turner team does think that the last election wasn't stolen from them in the sense of the election was rigged, but that they had the result in the bag until national groups came in and organized for Chantel Brown. Now, that's not really the fairest account of that, but they had thought they could make some inroads again this time. There's even mention, the Jewish areas, which voted heavily for Brown, didn't turn out as much this time. But, if Brown is getting 70% of the vote, that really doesn't matter too much.
No, I mean, the thesis for the Turner campaign wasn't a bad one in terms of how they could win, but they didn't have the money that they did last time. They didn't have the local support that they did last time. So it doesn't matter how friendly the territory is. You just don't have the resources.
Yeah, I was going to echo that. I mean, last time Turner had all the local support, all the money. I mean, for a progressive challenger, she had like the dream setup, and she still lost. And so, you know,
Well, the problem last time was she didn't spend her money. Like, honestly, as a progressive, it's really frustrating to watch progressive campaigns not spend on the most reliable form of voter outreach. I mean, field offices and volunteers and calling voters is great, and they're needed, but you can't beat the reach that TV gives.
Yeah, I think there's this philosophy among a lot of progressive Democrats that organizing is the number one way to win elections, and that's simply not the case.
It's the best way to turn out your voters, but you need to
convince people.
Yeah, you need to convince people, and TV's a mass tool of convincing people.
Yeah, TV, social media too. Social media is big. Radio. I mean, how did Lauren Boebert win the 3rd district in Colorado? She won it with a lot of radio ads. Radio was silent. Television was silent. Her opponent was not spending. She didn't spend all of her money on organizing. She spent it on media. And granted, it's a Republican primary, but the same principle applies. You can win races, but you need to, use methods that are tried and true. And if you're coming from this philosophy that the only thing that matters is organizing, and if we get the most organizers, that means the most people support us, that's not really how elections work. That's not how this thing sort of operates. It's nice, but nothing beats mass media. Nothing beats mass media.
We saw the power of organizing with how Georgia went in the 2020 presidential election and in the Senate races, but we also saw how powerful the media was in those situations. So I get that progressives, we don't like TV, we don't like the media. Still, you got to play the game.
It doesn't matter if you like it or not. It's there.
Play the game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're still angry about Cambridge Analytica Facebook scandal, and you're like, I'm never going to spend money on Facebook because of that. Well, your opponent is. If they're competent, they're going to spend money there.
Yeah, progressives talk about not unilaterally disarming all the time. Don't unilaterally disarm in the campaign, guys.
Yeah,
I want you to win.
Yeah, let's only unilaterally disarm on television, which the average American watches 4 hours of a day or something like that. And then social media, where almost every American with a pulse is on. Like,
it's infuriating as somebody who really wants more progressives in the Senate or in the House.
Yeah. And I mean, you can win. I don't know what Cori Bush's strategy was, but on the other hand, you gotta go out all. If you want to win these sorts of races, you have to act like you want to win them, and that involves a multi-front media campaign.
Well, Cori Bush had the benefit of literally running in 2 cycles, so she built up the name recognition. Nina Turner ran in 2 elections, but they were like 3 months apart, so you don't get the same benefit.
We do have 2 Renassi counties so far in the governor primary.
Whoa!
Meigs County and Monroe County, both of which are in Appalachia. DeWine is doing more poorly in some of these areas, probably because of, again, the COVID stuff, which is fairly controversial to a lot of Republican-based voters.
Eric, put some respect on his name. These are not Wenatchee counties. These are Joe Blystone counties.
Oh, Blystone! Holy cow!
Wait, those are Blystone?
I thought they were
Blystone
counties.
Renassi's in 3rd. Oh no!
No, Renacci's still in 2nd. That's the funniest part.
But he's in 3rd in those counties. He's in 3rd in those 2 counties.
Oh
no!
Oh no!
Do we feel bad for him? I didn't think we were supposed to feel bad for him.
I think it's safe to say if you want to put an F in the chat to pay respects, you can. I'm not going to ask you to do that. But...
I have no respects for Jim Renacci to pay. Honestly, no matter who loses, I'm happy because a terrible person has lost.
This is oh my god, that's embarrassing. I thought they were Renacci. I was like, oh, they're a county that DeWine is losing. It must be Renacci. Nope. Jim Blystone.
He wins another county. He's got number 3. Oh my god. Who is Joe Blystone?
He's got 3 of them.
Joe Blystone.
We have more results in the Senate race.
Yes,
who's Joe Biden?
I do want to bring it back here, folks. We do have more results in the Senate race. We have Election Day vote coming in. J.D. Vance has started to take a lead right now. He's leading with 27.5% of the vote in right now. Josh Mandel of 23.3% and Matt Dolan with 22.3%. It's pretty clear those are our top three right now. Mike Gibbons and Jane Timken are not winning this thing. Clearly,
so you're telling me that Neil isn't going to win?
No, I know Neil Patel is not going to win, Dylan. I am sorry to tell you, Neil Patel is not going to win tonight. But it is key right now. We're starting to see Election Day vote slowly start to come in right now. That has seen Vance expand his lead right now. He leads with about 27.5% of the vote right now. He leads over second place Mandel by about 7,000 votes right now, with still stuff to come out in a couple of counties. I'm looking here at Sandusky, Erie, Licking, Ross, and the big one, of course, Hamilton County that holds Cincinnati.
Still no Hamilton County.
Still no Hamilton County.
So I decided to look into who Jim Blystone is. Wikipedia says
Joe
he's a
Blystone.
farmer.
Joe
They
Blystone.
say he's a farmer and that he has no endorsements. So
Wait, is he running on no endorsements? Because if
No.
I have a lot.
No, Wikipedia doesn't list any endorsements for Joe Blystone.
Oh, I thought he might have been running on. I have no endorsements. Vote for me. I'm the actual outsider.
Yeah, he is a farm. He owns a farm. I'm trying to find an issue section on his website. There isn't one. He has a blog. It says he's a constitutional conservative. And
but, I mean, words mean nothing. So honestly, he could be running as a democratic socialist and still call himself a constitutional conservative. I doubt anybody's fact checking him.
Yeah. I don't see any issue section. Oh, he has a policy section on his website. Let's see what his policies are.
I'm
state sovereignty. So whatever that means.
It's going to be a buzzword.
So against executive order. He doesn't like executive orders. Second Amendment, pro-life, anti-COVID vaccine.
You're the governor, man. You don't have to worry about executive orders.
He wants to reduce the state budget by it looks like about like 20 billion. I'm not sure. He's comparing it to like other states. Wants to election stuff. Yeah, this is kind of just standard. Yeah.
What I'm hearing is he's as crazy as I expect.
He's basically Jim Renazzi, except if he's actually campaigning, is what it looks like.
He looks like a big dude.
Yeah. He wants less spending. So like that's a big thing. That's not usually a Trumpy thing, is to want less spending. So it's like a mix of this.
Eric, don't you know the Trump thing is to run on less spending and an expansion of government? But not the expansion of government we like, or that I like. You guys don't like any expansion of government.
But yeah, we're starting to see. Obviously, we're starting to see Election Day vote coming here, folks. So we're slowly starting to count up numbers here in Ohio. We are around 8:30. Yes, 8:30 p.m. So polls been closed in Ohio for about an hour. So it's actually pretty. We've actually gotten, for only an hour of vote counting, we've actually gotten a pretty good amount of results in. Quite honestly, most of these races, with Election Day vote really starting to come in right now. DDHQ is reporting around 22% of the vote in right now at 8:39 p.m. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good compared to the past year of vote counting we've had. I think that's pretty good.
This is how it should run. I say as I stare angrily at New York for existing. Oh
boy! And JD Vance's lead we've got around 24% of the vote in now. Erie County has now started to report votes. More of this rural vote comes in. JD Vance is now up to 28.1% of the vote. Widening his lead over Mandel to 9%. So we haven't gotten much yet in Election Day vote from kind of the from the suburban counties, but for one, it is fair to say right now though that we've certainly had the Vance surge is currently happening right now. That is for sure.
It would be tough. Vance is in a pretty good spot right now. It would be tough for Dolan to make the step. Mandel is actually back in second place now.
Yeah, Dave Wasserman says that if he's not in second place, if Matt Dolan isn't carrying Delaware County, the math isn't there.
Yeah. And he is not carrying Delaware County right now. He's narrowly losing it by about 3%.
Admittedly, that is all currently early vote, but if Vance is doing as
Yeah.
well as the election day vote in these rural counties as he's doing everywhere, that'll be a quick end to the night then, folks. That'll be a quick end to the night.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's fun.
But currently, right now, JD Vance.
I was like, JD Vance will be a campaign to watch. I mean, he's running quite a campaign.
I feel like I've said this a million times. JD Vance is the type of person I expected Trump to endorse the whole time. This is not unexpected. Eric, I think your worst nightmare is going to come true. In 2024, Josh Mandel is going to be the nominee against Jared Brown.
I don't think Josh Mandel would run again if that's the case. I think this is kind of the end for Josh Mandel.
Maybe. I don't know. If he might get the Trump endorsement next time.
Personally, I think JD Vance should run for president. And he should pick Josh Hawley as his running mate.
No, he should pick Dr. Oz. He should pick Dr. Oz, Craz. JD Vance, Dr. Oz versus Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg.
Good God, that'd be the worst.
I'm here for chaos. I want better nominees than that, but if I can't have nice things.
Still 75% of the vote left to the end, but yeah, I'd much rather be Vance is in a pretty good spot, it seems like, right
leading by almost 10,000 votes over Mandel at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
28.5% of the vote right now.
Yeah, I don't see Dolan winning. He might. There's still a lot of the vote left.
Oh, we have some results in the Republican primary in District 13 in Ohio.
Oh, I was about to say, did Decision Desk just update to prove me wrong?
Madison Gilbert leads there with 32.4%. Janet Porter in second with 17.7%. Those are the top two right there in that race currently, with DDHQ is estimating about 12% of the vote in right now in that key Republican primary. This is about a Biden +2 seat. The Democratic nominee will be Amelia Sykes, who I believe is currently the Ohio State House Minority Leader. I hope I got that right. I hope I did. But currently, Madison Gilbert. I don't believe this race had a Trump endorsement, to my knowledge. I don't believe so, at least. But Madison Gilbert was running as kind of the more Trump, the more right wing candidate. But she is part of Stark. She was crowned Miss Ohio USA. That's kind of her claim to fame. But she's also attended law school. She was a law clerk for the United States Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee. She's a conservative commentator. So that is she was currently in the league. Apparently she is endorsed by Trump. Eric, do you have potentially any news for us here currently?
Nothing I'm at liberty to disclose.
Dave,
it is up.
It seems, have we gotten results from Hamilton County? No, not in the Republican.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. There it is. Matt Dolan does lead the Hamilton early vote count.
24-23.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, guys, Jim Blystone's winning another county.
Hey.
Joe Blystone.
Hey, Pike County. Oh, wow. He's winning 7 counties right now. My goodness. 6 counties. Excuse me. He's winning 6 counties.
Wow.
Ohio really needs runoff elections, I got to say.
Yeah.
Like, there was a poster.
Yeah, at this point, Ohio, you need runoffs, buddy.
Kraz, why do you want to hurt us like this? This campaign needs to end.
I don't know,
Yeah, Kraz, no, this election needs to be over. I'm tired of it. I have talked about Ohio and redistricting more in the last 2 months than I've ever wanted to.
So currently right now we have current results in right now. We have about 26% of the vote in in the Republican primary for Senate. J.D. Vance leads by about 10,000 votes over Josh Mandel, around 13,000 over Matt Dolan. We are still waiting, though, for a lot of Election Day vote to come in, though, in some key parts of the state as we continue to wait for those to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. What are we looking at? I feel like I need to hear more about some of the thoughts tonight. So what are the thoughts right now currently going on right now?
Vance is in a good spot, I think, so far. Nothing rocking the boat of the Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Eric, we can't hear you anymore.
Okay. While Eric is dealing with some technical issues, I'm just gonna go down some updates right now, and I do have an announcement to make. With those Hamilton results in, DDHQ has predicted that Nan Whaley will be the Democratic nominee for governor in Ohio, setting her up with a run against Mike DeWine in this race. Whaley is the current mayor of Dayton. She's been seen as a rising candidate in Ohio for a while now.
Testing.
There we go, Eric. You're back.
Eric.
You're back, Eric.
My mic lost connection for some reason.
Yeah. But anyways, we want to say Nan Whaley has won the Democratic nomination for the Ohio gubernatorial race. She will face off against Mike DeWine in that race. Eric, I know you had some thoughts, then you had some technical issues. Go ahead and keep going and finish your thought before the mic went out.
Oh, no. It was nothing. I was just mentioning a couple of the results we'd already been talking about, just in summary.
Yeah. I also think J.D. Vance is in a pretty good spot. Dolan looked to be doing pretty well for himself at the beginning, but momentum seems to have shifted with the Election Day votes just a bit.
I do want to bring up another mention here in the Ohio GOP 9th primary district to face off against Marcy Kaptur. Craig Riedel continues to lead that race, but the lead has shrunk. He is up by about 300 votes with only about 10% of the vote in, according to DHQ. He leads 38 to 31 over Teresa Gavarone in that race. J.R. Majewski does have about 24% of the vote right now currently, but he's finishing behind Gavarone and Riedel and all the counties that have reported results so far. So if that doesn't change, then I don't think he's running past that third place position right now. But currently right now, Craig Riedel in with about 30% of the vote in that key primary as well. Otherwise, around, and I guess it's fair to mention that District 11 primary, no different results have come in from that District 11 primary as we get into it right now. No different results we have seen come in from that race.
Somebody in
What's
the
going
chat.
on with the?
I'm going to bring this up right now. I don't know if this is incorrect or not, but Steve Shabbat is down 70-30 in his primary right now.
That seems inaccurate.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Chaos.
It is all Hamilton County vote, which would be really surprising if that was the case.
Chaos.
I don't know who Jen Giroux is. It's time for a quick search.
Chaos.
But it does not seem like she has a. Does not seem like she has a website.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm gonna call this a bug.
Remember, we were here when Lauren Boebert seemed to have won.
Boebert has a website.
I'm looking up Jen Giroux. She has a Ballotpedia page with no picture. Which
this would be weird. This would feel very weird.
Well, you know what's even weirder? Cincinnati.com says Jen Giroux dropped out of the race on April 25th.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is an error. This doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, this feels like an error, folks.
It does, but if she won after dropping out,
would be funny.
Chaos. Somebody in the chat earlier asked if we thought Nina Turner was going to run for any office after this. Yes, I think she will run for I don't think she'll run for Congress again. I think whether Biden is the 2024 presidential nominee, I do think she will run against him in the Democratic primary, whether him or Kamala Harris, though I expect Biden to run. Any thoughts? Anyone disagree?
No, that sounds about right to me, buddy. Yeah. So really all we're waiting here right now for the statewide is, of course, that U.S. Senate race. Hopefully we continue to get more of that election day vote in here soon. As we continue to get more of that result in here. Otherwise, looking elsewhere as well right now, we still haven't gotten any new results in yet from the first district Republican primary in Indiana. Still nothing there yet. DHQ has not called this race yet, but other locations have called the 9th District Republican primary for State Senator Aaron Houchin, who would be the one to replace Trey Hollingsworth there in that race. Though I am going to give mention here to our the New York Times here. They have some updated numbers in the 1st District GOP primary here in Indiana. Jennifer Ruth Green there on the New York Times has a big lead, 51% of the current vote right now, compared to her closest competitor with 18%. So it kind of does seem to look like that Ruth Green, once you start getting those numbers in, might be starting to run away with that race. So that's certainly something to watch. But it does feel like that she may be starting to run away with that race when that time comes. So
yeah. This governor primary is also getting really not interesting in terms of competitive, but interesting in that it's DeWine is down to 53%.
Oh, yeah, we lost Eric again.
His
primary Blystone is at 25.6%. Blystone has he has 6 counties right now.
He does.
Which is not a lot, but it's pretty impressive.
We're continuing to get more of the election day vote in right now. DDHQ is now projected is now having with 29% of the vote in. JD Vance is up to 28.9% of the vote. Josh Mandel 23.5%, and Matt Dolan with 22% of the vote right now. We're continuing to see Vance pull away here from the rest of the field in this race as we move on here into the night with election day vote coming in.
Yeah, I think Vance is in a good spot because if you're looking at some counties actually flip from Dolan to Vance. With election day vote coming in. And so, if Dolan's going to get a huge landslide in certain counties, it would have to be from, Franklin, Cuyahoga, places like that.
And it would have to defy what we're seeing right now. I mean, I don't think, I think it's probably too early to call, obviously, but I would rather be Vance.
Much rather be Vance right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did find some stuff about, the person who dropped out of the race and is now maybe beating Chabot. She's a former Salem talk radio host on Catholic radio.
Interesting.
She worked with the former Attorney General, Phil Klein, in a case against Planned Parenthood. That's basically all I've been able to find. It's from a Catholic speakers website. That's basically all the information I can find on her. The article that says she dropped out is behind a paywall, thanks Cincinnati.com, so I can't see it.
I think I just want to see election day results from either Cuyahoga or Franklin. That's pretty much it. And then once
going to be the big thing.
Once we get those right, then I think we can probably make a guess.
Yeah, if Dolan doesn't do better, or if Vance does better, I think it's over for Dolan.
Dolan, if he wants to be competitive here, Dolan really needs to be winning these urban and suburban counties by large margins on election day vote. We're getting a lot of rural vote right now, to be fair, but Decision Desk hasn't called. I don't think any other major outlet has called. So we're keeping this the eye right now, but Vance is in a very good spot right now, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Dolan's even behind Mandel, so I mean,
yeah, I mean, the numbers as I'm seeing it right now just continue to look better for Vance here as we continue to see the election day vote coming in right now. And this and these type of contested primaries, is showing right now why the Trump endorsement still does have power. It is changing those election day strong voters. Obviously, it's not the be-all, end-all. We're not seeing Vance get, again, kind of the large sweeping majority numbers that we've seen before in those states in these endorsement races. But it clearly has saved J.D. Vance's campaign. And on a different night, it definitely does feel like that, that we probably could have seen a Mandel or a Dolan. If, a Trump stayed out of this, that would have been something completely different potentially. But what we have is what we have. And J.D. Vance very clearly the favorite right now in this race. Very clearly the favorite right now, J.D. Vance, barring some massive change in that race. Barring some massive change.
Yeah, but this is also a really big blow for J.D. Mandel, who Trump had touted at one of his campaign rallies, but has completely just vanished and evaporated from the race.
Hey, in Trump's, I can't believe I'm about to say this, in Trump's defense, the top two candidates are J.D. Vance and Josh Mandel. So he was right for all the wrong reasons.
Yep. Yeah, we continue to see DDHQ is now reporting around 34% of the election day vote, and we're seeing Vance take over Dolan and Mandel counties for the early vote here. Mainly Dolan ones in a
Summit flipped.
Summit is flipped. Yeah, I mean this is just continuing to not look good here for Matt Dolan.
Yeah,
as the night goes on here, 34% of the vote in right now, folks. I will say it's looking more and more like we are headed towards a run-on victory here.
Yeah, I know we're not calling it, but I feel pretty confident.
Yeah,
about the result right now.
Yeah, it would be J.D. Vance against Mike DeWine.
No, against Tim Ryan.
Excuse me, against Tim Ryan. Oh my goodness.
J.D. Vance versus Mike DeWine would be that's a fun parallel universe. J.D. Vance runs for the Democratic governor nomination.
I'm sure. But that is, however, we are tracking though right now, folks, towards J.D. Vance, the author and the Yale graduate and author of Hillbilly Elegy. Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm sorry.
Nominee for the Senate from Ohio.
Nope, I'm sorry. This is funnier. Jim Blystone has flipped a county.
Oh boy.
This is funnier.
There's two Wenatchee counties now, though. There's two of them.
There are two Wenatchee counties.
Are we sure it's not Ron Hood?
Yep, and DeWine is up to 51% of the vote now.
So if this were a runoff, Mike DeWine would be forced to it. Or would be in danger of being forced to a runoff. That's great.
That is correct. Still waiting for what is starting to certainly feel like the final call here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident.
So, however, we did just get a boost for Mandel. Mandel just jumped up from about 23 to 24% of the vote here.
A Mandel win.
From?
Don't know where it came from, but it certainly was definitely a jump for Mandel.
Not by much, though. I think it was only by like 0.8%. And
yeah, it wasn't a massive jump, but he's up to 24% of the vote now.
And Vance didn't lose any of his margin, so
he took it from someone.
It looks like he took it from Dolan, because Dolan's down from 22.2 to 21.6.
Yeah.
Another big dump of votes for.
Oh, yeah, another big
J.D.
dump,
Vance.
up to 37%. JD Vance up to 30, Mandel 24, Dolan 21.7.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's Vance.
It is just.
Yep, that Dolan surge maybe even cut into the Mandel margins, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like it. So weirdly circling back, I do kind of expect if Nina Turner runs for president against Kamala Harris, she will do better than this. She will do better than this margin. She will. I feel pretty good about that. And still with 20% in, Mike Gibbons has one county. The votes haven't gone up at all, but the percentage reporting has.
Yep. Still waiting for some of the results in right now, folks. But as we continue to say, really the Ohio Senate race has kind of been the key one that we've still been waiting for right now. Currently, right now, we are seeing what we're seeing. JD Vance has I know, right?
Josh Vance and JD Mandel.
Josh Vance and JD Mandel. But JD Vance very clearly starting to pull away.
Yeah, we just got another dump in.
Yep. As we now 39% of the vote now estimated in by DDHQ. JD Vance seemingly inching ever closer to be the next Republican nominee for Senate from the state of Ohio. It seems that we are hitting closer right now towards the numbers in Ohio. It seems like we are heading very closely towards a JD Vance versus Tim Ryan race. We are very much interestingly seeing it right now. We are very well close to it here.
So I know it's impossible to say, but how do you guys think the result would have gone had Trump not endorsed JD Vance? Because Vance was middling at like 10 or 12%, and he's about to clear 30. Like, who would be?
Yeah, I would be skeptical that Vance would be anywhere close to this if Trump hadn't endorsed him.
Absolutely not. No, I don't think he would be. He'd be pulling in Gibbons numbers, but who?
I wonder if Mandel would have gotten closer, because Mandel was really selling himself as like the real.
And you wonder if someone like Mike Gibbons would have done better. I think
maybe.
A question to ask would have Dolan. I think it's very interesting to see if Mike Gibbons would have done better. His kind of drop in the polls started after Vance, after the endorsement had come in for Vance, really. So
I actually think Dolan would have done worse if Trump hadn't endorsed.
You can take why. I want to hear why.
Because I think Dolan benefited a lot, I think, from people consolidating around the candidate they found the most anti-Trump, and that's the guy who came out the strongest in favor of certifying the election, and that was Matt Dolan. Because before the Trump endorsement, Matt Dolan was nowhere. He was at Timken levels. He started to surge, but I think most of that can be attributed to a sort of narrowing of who was seen as credible. Gibbons fell out. Mandel, I thought, had fallen out, but he obviously didn't.
No.
And Dolan kind of took the spot of the combination of Timken and Gibbons.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have updated results in Ohio.
Another county for Blythe.
Ohio won. In Ohio's first, it has been changed. Steve Shabbat is now showing up as unopposed, and he is winning 100% of the vote.
Boo! No, my chaos.
So,
Mike DeWine also under 50%.
do you want chaos? Do you, sir?
I do want look. These are very Republican counties. Democrats have no hope of winning them.
Well, then, sir, do I have some chaos for you? Warren Davidson, the incumbent representative from the 8th District, is currently only up a point in his primary with about 4% of the percent, and against Phil Heimlich. I don't know if those numbers are correct either, but hey, it's what's happening right now.
By the way, another big update on the Senate side.
Mhm.
Vance ticks up a bit, Mandel ticks up a bit, Dolan ticks down a bit.
Yep.
Interesting.
44% of the vote, and we're starting to see election day vote now.
Yeah, at 44% with Dolan down almost 9 points. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not there. But DeWine under 50%, I think, is really interesting.
I think it shows that unlike Holcomb, we thought early on he was pulling around 60%. It seemed like a lot of the early, though, really swung against Mike DeWine.
Yeah, swing in favor of Mike DeWine, because now the election day votes are swinging against him.
Mm-hmm.
Which this kind of margin is more in line with what polling showed.
Yeah.
Wait, is his name actually Heimlich?
Who are you talking about?
The guy who's up against Davidson? Is his
yes,
name really?
His last name was actually Heimlich.
I don't know why that makes me smile so much.
One thing I am interested in, I know it's not dispositive in a kind of lopsided election like this, but Ohio Republicans are clocking in 350,000 votes, and Ohio Democrats are barely clocking in 200,000 votes.
Oh dear!
And
wow.
In fairness,
if you do the math, that's like less than 40%. 40% vote.
Okay, in fairness to Democrats, there wasn't a competitive primary.
So that is true. That is true. I will concede that. However, and I need to find the graph because I always bring it up, but I remember I saw a graph back in 2018 that was like, if you plot the midterm results versus the collective primary totals in each midterm year, so like 02, 06, 02, 06, 10, 14, 18, whatever, like the results track almost perfectly. If a party wins quote unquote the primary vote, 52-48, they win the House popular vote almost 52-48. Like, it tracks incredibly closely, despite, I think, in individual circumstances it doesn't match up. And I think, like, especially in states where, like, I mean, it's still an overall competitive-ish state, so I don't think that many Democrats are like bailing and crossing over, and so I think that's kind of a pretty damning sign. I would take Vance. I would take Vance minus 10.5 in November.
Yeah, no,
I think it's a little bit too generous for Vance. I think he has some actual liabilities, but we'll see.
No, I would take that. I think 10.5 is a good. I think 10.5 is a good margin. If it were Mandel, yeah, I wouldn't feel super confident. But Vance is going to be like a. I'm not allowed to curse on here. He's going to be the poor man's Sherrod Brown, but a Republican.
No, I'd say he's going to be the poor man's Jim Webb. Somebody who's just completely out of step in his party in a lot of specific issues, and generally votes the same way as his party, even despite being very grumpy about it. That's probably what I would put him at.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, and there's a reason Jim Webb only lasted one term at the Senate. It's because he very clearly.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a prediction, a confirmation from Decision Desk HQ. In conjunction with Decision Desk HQ and Elections Daily, we can now project that author J.D. Vance has won the Republican nomination for Senate in the state of Ohio. Vance will be heading on to face Tim Ryan in the general election in 2020. So we are set for the two statewide contests in Ohio. In the Senate race to replace Rob Portman, it will be J.D. Vance versus Tim Ryan. and Mike DeWine will face off against Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley in his re-election bid for governor. But we are now confirming this from Decision Desk HQ and Elections Daily. J.D. Vance has won the Republican nomination for Senate. We are now calling that race. So here are some thoughts from the panel now officially as we get into it. J.D. Vance, Republican nominee, thoughts from the panel.
He's terrible. He's fake. I don't believe a word he says. But I mean, he got the Trump endorsement, and I know some people were skeptical about how much a Trump endorsement matters today, but he pulled Vance out of obscurity in third place, and I mean, what else can be said? Trump's endorsement obviously did matter, and I mean, yeah, he's going to be a terrible senator.
I think ultimately what we're going to see is specifically one, this is something Trump is really going to tout, especially if endorsements in places like Georgia don't go correctly. David Perdue is getting clobbered in the polls right now. Beyond clobbered.
David Perdue is doing a Jim Renacci.
The latest poll shows him under 30%. This is the endorsement that Trump is going to point to instead to get back at any criticism of that Georgia endorsement. That's the first and foremost. The second will be whether or not what type of senator, presuming he wins, which in all likelihood he will. We have this race likely Republican, or I think we have it safe, and I don't think we envision that changing. Expect Democrats to spend money here. I would think they wouldn't. If it's someone like Dolan, or they probably would have spent money here, or wouldn't have spent money. I would expect to put something here just to kind of save face. There's probably some sort of delusion among some certain Democrats that they can go after Vance and actually win this thing. It'd be really what type of senator J.D. Vance would be. Again, the closest comparison I could think here would be Jim Webb, someone who's very out of step with your party on a lot of issues. Whether or not, Vance is going to be someone who's going to vote for the party in line or be that one senator that holds up the tax cut because it doesn't, that's how you get ostracized in the Republican caucus. So, we'll see what happens here.
Eric, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by J.D. Vance's turn into a normie Republican who votes for tax cuts and supports all the things you like.
Yeah, Eric, I think you're forgetting that people like J.D. Vance really just want to be like the popular kid, and the fastest way to be the popular kid in the Senate GOP caucus is to not be an asshole. To be frank.
I don't think J.D. Vance will be the popular.
J.D. Vance. Sorry, you cut out, and I wasn't sure if you were done talking. J.D. Vance has no soul. He's like Trump. He has no principles. He will do whatever Republican leadership asks him to do. Whether that Republican leadership is Mitch McConnell or Donald Trump, who knows? But he will toe the party line.
See, I disagree with that. I think your perception is that he wants to be the popular kid, right? My perception is that Vance sees himself as genuinely being part of an ideological shift in the party, and that he wants to be at the forefront of that. And there's exactly two other senators in the Senate right now who are like that. There's Marco Rubio, who, despite being a general normie Republican, who I'm generally very happy with on issues, is also willing to put out a lot of talking points on some specific policies I find to be very, very dumb. Thankfully, Rubio's focus in the Senate is on foreign policy. That's what it's always been. He's very laser focused on foreign policy and on local Florida issues. He generally touts the socialism light stuff on the side. That's just a thing he does, but he's not actually going to take legislation over it. Hawley sees himself as someone who wants to run for president. And so Hawley sees the quickest path to being president as being this sort of populist candidate. Never mind, he's calling it, I think, 1% or 0% in most presidential polls. He sees this as the future. So while he will vote for Republicans on a lot of things, he's going to make a lot of noise about specific issues. Vance, he's not a presidential candidate. I think Vance wants to be someone who genuinely sees himself as a disruptor, who genuinely dislikes a brunt of the Republican Party, specifically in economics. This is the case even during his early elegy. He never agreed with Republicans in economics, ever. That's never been something he's agreed with them on. Even when he was not supporting Trump, it wasn't because Trump was insufficiently conservative. It was because Trump was insufficiently moral. Because he was bereft of principles. That was the reason that he was not a fan of Donald Trump. He felt it to be dangerous. He didn't oppose Donald Trump because of that. I think it'd be very likely that J.D. Vance is that one senator who's holding up stuff in a Republican Senate, especially if it's close. If Republicans only get a 51 to 49 Senate, good luck getting 51 votes on a lot of economic ideas.
Well,
good luck getting his vote on bank deregulation, like what happened under the Trump administration. Good luck getting his vote on a corporate tax code. Good luck getting his vote on anything economic. I think he genuinely would hold up stuff over that, and I don't see anything that can dissuade me from that until actually seeing how he votes.
Well, look, I hope you're right, because honestly, disrupting Republican priorities in the Senate sounds like a win to me. I don't see a principled ideologue when I look at him, nor do I see a principled ideologue when I look at Josh Mandel. But hey, I'm open to my mind being changed on that. We'll see.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, look, Vance, I think just he was at the forefront at the beginning of the Trump years because he was unique, putting out unique ideas. I think he just still wants to be at that forefront. But I don't know if being at that forefront means holding things up, right? Like Josh Hawley makes a lot of noise about, this or that, but has he ever held up an actual,
No.
economic policy? Like, not really, right? I mean, he basically votes like you would expect. And so, my impression is Vance will basically end up like that. He'll make a lot of noise, but he'll end up just kind of being another senator.
But see, I get what you're saying, but I think we're kind of disagreeing over what sort of ideologue he is. I'm not saying he's an ideologue in the sense of that he is wholly on board with Trumpism and Trump as an idea. What I do think he is he's very much ideologically aligned with a wing in Republicans who are convinced that the future of the Republican Party is to basically become old school conservative Democrats from the South. That's basically what they see: the American Compass people, the Orange Cast people, that sort of thing. Josh Hawley people. I think he was that before he was elected. The last time we've seen Republicans like this elected has been in the House. It's been a couple of House members, I think, in Virginia, like Virgil Goode, and they were more willing. They voted with Republicans on a lot of things. They were very, very loud about some stuff and very, very willing to vote against the party on some stuff. So, does Vance see himself as someone who's going to be in leadership? Probably not. Does Vance see himself as someone who wants to be a business Republican? No, I think Vance genuinely wants to be at the forefront of what the Republican Party is. And I think he sees the best way of doing that is aligning with the sort of wing of very Trumpy populism. We'll see. I don't think we're too far off from what we think is going to happen. I just think the difference is you think he's going to vote more often than not with Republicans on the big things. I think he's going to be very willing to be a naysayer on a lot of important things for Republicans. And they maybe walked off on the cliff on that. We already saw some of this with Hawley, with some judicial stuff, some legislation.
Yeah,
it's going to be tricky.
But did Hawley actually go against Republicans on any of those votes, or did he just make a lot of noise?
He threatened to vote against any SCOTUS nominee who did not support Roe versus Wade, and then did not support repealing it. And then when Amy Coney Barrett was nominated, he basically changed his mind immediately. But this is after he'd been pressured behind the scenes to not be an idiot. The difference is, of course, is
man, I wish you guys could have convinced Hawley to not be an idiot a couple other times.
That's what's funny. That's what's funny because, I think that some of these guys have terrible political instincts. Like, did Hawley think a nominee was going to get up there and be like, you know what, Senator? Like, when that case comes before me, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to rule right now, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to write. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to say. Like, that would have been been suicide. Do you think that's going to happen?
No, Kraz, you're right. They all have really bad political instincts. The right-wing populists, especially, have awful political instincts.
Mm-hmm. Well, when your political instincts are to be a follower and not a leader, that's a pretty clear indicator. Rubio has been that his entire career. He at first he was a Huckabee-style social conservative. Then he decided to become, Jeb 2.0. Then he decided in 2016 he wanted to be this new future of young conservatives that was really committed to ideological conservative principles at every level, with a specific element focused entirely on younger people. And then after Trump was elected, he decided that the best way to do it would be to shift his approach on economics without actually shifting how he votes on economics.
Well, see, Marco Rubio is both in the media enough and enough of a backbencher that he can reinvent himself and not face major consequences for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has that benefit. He will not face any primary or any consequences for changing his ideological stances 8 times. He just won't.
Yeah, I think really the big thing with Vance, though, is that if he is a follower and he is committed to doing that, he's going to focus on a lot of stupid stuff that base Republican people on Twitter really focus on and that nobody else is really focusing on.
JD Vance is going to be your culture war guy. That's all he's going to do.
And that's the difference. If that's all he does, then there's plenty of people in the Senate who are like that. There's the Tom Cottons, the Ted Cruzes of the world. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, the difference between him and Hawley is that Hawley genuinely has presidential aspirations and is kind of tempered in how far he can take things. But I understand he's going to need a lot of these people's support if he wants to ever run for president. Vance has no aspirations of that. I don't think he has any concept that he would be a president someday.
I was very bullish before January 6th on Josh Hawley being an actual presidential threat. No chance. Nope. Not even. He has no shot now. He's done. He killed it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was really the January 6th thing that was what got him. And that really was the moment where he picked the wrong political fight and in the absolute wrongest way. But let's go ahead and we've talked enough about JD Vance. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the other things that have been going on. Has Mike DeWine continued to slide in the governor's race? I've been seeing a lot of stuff this is going from a point where if Trump had endorsed him, he could have actually changed this primary, is what it looks like.
Mike DeWine's at 47.7%, Renacci at 26.9%, and Blystone at 23.2%. If their combined vote would have overtaken DeWine, I wouldn't feel at all comfortable if I were him in 4 years.
Well, he's not going to be up for re-election in 4 years. There's 2 term limits.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, I just think it's like, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I don't really understand what anyone's beef with DeWine is, but
too COVID hawkish, I guess. He was too worried about people dying of COVID.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like this is just one of those identity things, right? Like DeWine's an old school, kind of suburban-ish conservative, and he's not part of the kind of new movement, and so he's just kind of an outsider to a lot of people. Because I don't really think I have no perception of why people would be upset with him from a policy standpoint. Especially given.
Well, no, I can get a better idea of that.
Yeah,
DeWine was very, very much someone who was on the he was the Republican governor in 2018 or 2021, or during the COVID pandemic, the height of it. He was the Republican governor most likely to support COVID restrictions. He was one of the most aggressive, and his performance as governor was the closest to what you would expect of a Democratic governor. He was pretty aggressive on mask mandates. He was pretty aggressive on enforcement. There was election stuff that happened. He was pretty aggressive on. And another thing that really irritated Republicans was his health advisor, Amy Acton, I believe, or I believe that's her name, was a prominent Democrat. She was someone who Democrats wanted to run for Senate. A lot of Republicans were very unhappy about that. And then the big thing here is the Republican voters were very, very unhappy with a lot of this COVID stuff, and it lasted a lot longer than other governors who were more in line with that. Eric Holcomb, he had that similar thing. He ended that a lot sooner than Mike DeWine did. If you look at Eric Holcomb, he suffered a lot of rural bleed as well, but he didn't suffer that much. This time, a couple years down the line, where a lot of Republican voters are looking back on the COVID restrictions and are genuinely angry at what they allowed to happen. And I think people are in general. A lot of people are, but especially Republican voters are very angry about the restrictions that were in place and what they allowed to happen. I could see this. I could see this sort of vote here. The thing is, though, it's split between 2 candidates. It's split between Jim Renacci and Joe Blystone, 2 very different people. Blystone's actually, as far as candidates go, he wouldn't be a horrible candidate to replace Mike DeWine. Aside from the COVID stuff, he's actually pretty normal conservative as a platform looks like. Budget cuts, education, just some specific things that he went into detail on that Renasci didn't. I mean, we still got to see how more goes in, but this is a very paltry performance for an incumbent governor. It's not going to matter in the general, but it's pretty paltry for right now.
Yeah, it's not a good performance. I would not be feeling good about myself if I were DeWine. He got lucky.
He got very, very lucky here. And honestly, Trump, that call with Renasci, I now understand why Jim Renasci would be very angry about this.
Yeah,
Trump
he
endorsement
should
here probably does make some impact. Because look at the areas where DeWine is doing the worst. It's those newer Republican voting areas, in that southern tier, the Appalachian region of the state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Trump is probably kicking himself right now. Though I don't think Trump had huge beef with DeWine, really. So it probably wasn't a priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the beef with DeWine mainly came from conservative Republicans who were very, very unhappy about the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
That's the sole singular reason here. Nothing else DeWine has done has been offensive to conservatives. Aside from that, and unlike in 2020 in Indiana, where you still had a lot of Republicans who were really willing to vote for a Republican who was more open to to these sort of issues, to COVID stuff. Looking back on it 2 years later, there's a lot of anger from Republicans over this. This is the Fire Fauci crowd. These are the people who are up in arms over vaccine mandates, up in arms over a lot of issues that at the time were pretty bipartisan. And people, DeWine got a lot of praise from Democrats, from nationwide Democrats, for his policies. If you look at the New York Times, other outlets, they gave him very glowing responses to his reaction. The problem is they don't vote for Republicans in primaries, and even if they're going to praise you, they're usually not going to endorse you, and their endorsement won't have any meaningful impact to a Republican.
Yeah, so folks, we are going to start to wind down the night here as we have gotten all the major calls really in tonight, some of the key statewide races tonight. Obviously, still some races leaving up right now in the races for congressional primaries. As we see right now, we are starting to get some of those races coming in here, but we are winding down here to the end of the night. We're probably going to end off here at around 9:30.
Yeah.
So,
final results.
I want to hear final thoughts here from the panel before I go into a late night to the last roundup here. Final thoughts from the panel on tonight.
Do you want a final result from Ohio 11? I mean, not the final result, but the margin hasn't changed at all. More votes, but Nina Turner's only ticked up about 0.04%. So there obviously hasn't been a call, but Nina Turner's not winning that race.
So I'm going to, but let's hear some final thoughts here from the panel tonight, folks. So we're going to start with Kraz.
Basically what I expected, nice little warm-up round for the upcoming primaries, particularly looking at May 17th. We got some big ones coming up. We got, North Carolina and Pennsylvania that day. So, excited for that. Basically what I expected, I think J.D. Vance is going to win by double digits in November. Ohio was 12 points to the right of the country in 2020. And so I 12 points to the right again. He could win by 15 points. But yeah, good stream.
All right. Dylan.
Yeah, about what I expected too. Maybe a slight underperformance by DeWine. Yeah, this is about what I expected. Excited for Pennsylvania. Yeah, some big progressive races coming up then too. Pennsylvania is 12th, I think. Summer Lee. Very excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
And from our glorious editor-in-chief in the dark, Mr. Eric Cunningham.
Yeah, I'm really excited for North Carolina coming up. Early voting numbers have been very interesting in that they've been fairly anemic for Democrats so far. Republicans have been at even or leading in a lot of these early votes so far, which in the primary. And on top of that, we've seen a surge for Ted Budd in recent months, in recent weeks, and we expect him to likely be the nominee at this point. So it's going to be really interesting to see some of the congressional primaries as well. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, folks, winding on the night, thank you all for tuning in tonight for what was a very good stream. It was great to be back. We got a lot of viewers on through both Twitter and YouTube tonight. So please hit that follow if you're on Twitter. Hit that subscribe and like button. If you're on YouTube here, we're going to be, of course, and we will be back here next week for not only a key House primary in West Virginia between incumbents David McKinley and Alex Mooney, but also the very hotly contested gubernatorial Republican primary in Nebraska will also be going down next weekend. So we will be back for some of those results next weekend. We're going to try and see if we can get it with the timing right. The polling closing in those two locations is a bit off, but we will try and see what we can do. It might just be one where we kind of do a short stream for West Virginia and a short stream for Nebraska, but otherwise we will be here on May 10th. We expect to be here. But then, of course, the big one, May 17th, you will want to be here for that one. Kentucky, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Idaho, and North Carolina, all on May 17th. Some of the biggest races that we're going to see in the primaries this year. I know everyone's excited for that one. In fact, we're going to have that represented by 3 people here. We're going to have people represented in those states. Kraz goes to law school at Duke University. Eric, of course, is a resident of North Carolina and Hickory, and I am a resident of Pennsylvania in the Lancaster County area. So we are going to get ready here for both May 10th and May 17th. But otherwise, thank you all for watching tonight. Keep in touch here with Elections Daily. We will have a recap and a special Wednesday version of our Elections Weekly podcast tomorrow, recapping the results here in Ohio tonight. So be there 5:15 tomorrow night. Me, Eric, and Dylan will be back on with our usual Elections Weekly podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening in, watching in, and we'll see you May 10th for primary coverage in West Virginia and Nebraska.